Okay, so once we've got all our entries in, there's two important things we have to do for our entries. The first thing we need to do is actually export our entries onto our flash drive. So the way we do this is there's this export entries button right here, or we can do file and then go to export and then meet entries. So this isn't always there. Sometimes the program will wipe out this icon, but it's usually easiest to do that. So you pick which meet you want to do your entries for. You have a lot of meets. You got to make sure you pick the right one. Since I don't have all the entries done for College Heights at Lake of the Woods, I'm going to pick one that we did last year at Lee's Hill. And I'll select that. We want to export relays. Not just relays, but all relays. And do not click this button of do not include entry times. If you do that, you're in a clear violation of the RSL rules. And if any of your swimmers swim accidentally out of order, then there's no way we have to reconstruct who swam what without, having some semblance of seed time. So we hit OK, and this is going to save to this directory here. I could have selected my thumb drive and exported directly onto my USB drive. When we're done with that, we hit close. The next thing we have to do is actually print out our labels for our cards. So let's go to labels at the top, and we are going to do entry card / labels. So again, we have that same meet selected. You may actually want to do your boys first and then your girls. You may waste like one sheet of labels by doing that, but it's going to be a lot easier for you to make sure you have them on the right card. So in this case, I'm going to do the boys first. I'm doing my team. I'm sorting by meet event number because that's the order you're going to want to hand them to the clerk of course. We don't need to do anything with these buttons. We're not worried about that. And this is going to do all the individual events first because your relays you're going to hold on to and not actually hand to the clerk of course. So at this point, I hit create report, and it's going to print these. You'll have blanks for heat and lane because those are filled in by the clerk of course as they go through each event. You notice they're in event number order. When we get to the very end, we have it all the way through event 60, and you can see that this is going to take 4 sheets of labels. So we do the same thing for the girls, for their individual events. They run onto 5 sheets because we have more girls at our pool. Now we're going to go ahead and do the relays. And for these, we could actually do it either way. It's probably still easier to keep them boys and girls separated. So I go do the same thing. I have 1 sheet of paper for those relays. And I have this B relay that I haven't filled in names for. Please note when you look at event 65 and 66, they are only going to print with 4 names on it. So you need to handwrite the 5th swimmer's name on the card for your 15 to 18-year-old swimmer. And again, remember this little print button up here in the top left is the button you click to actually print your report. That'll print the labels to the printer you choose. Okay, assume we do the same thing for the boys, for their relays, and that's going to give us a whole bunch of sheets of labels that you can put on cards. A lot of teams will actually hand them to some parents that are sitting around. You get a lot of 10 and under parents who are going to sit through practice instead of dropping and leaving. So for those parents, it gives them something nice to do while they're waiting, and then they can hand the cards back to you. So one thing to remember, when you get those cards, anybody that's got a no time, like a not a seed time, is not necessarily going to print out in the order that you want them to. And in fact, swimmers with seed time might not be in the order that you swim. So once you get those cards with those labels that we just printed, you're going to want to write in pencil at the top corner of that card the order of all the swimmers from fastest to slowest based on your knowledge of those swimmers to make sure that the faster swimmers are in a faster heat and can get their best possible time. Okay, so we've exported the entries for the electronic data, and then we've actually created the labels as well. So I think that's it. You bring those two things with you, and you also bring your meat planner. Um, so those three things consist of everything you need to enter in the meat. So the meat planner, you'll have two copies, and that's that spreadsheet. And when you hand in your copies, one will go to the clerk, of course. The other one goes to the scorekeeper. The copy you hand to the scorekeeper is actually your official copy. So if there is a problem where a swimmer has a card but isn't in the computer, as long as it's in the meat program or meat planner that you hand to the scorekeeper, then it's legal. But if there's a discrepancy on that meat planner, it can have repercussions that result in a swimmer getting DQ'd as not being properly entered, or if it was someone that actually broke an RSL record, but they weren't properly on your meat planner, then they won't get the record.